ready! I know I am. So, whether or not you are, it's time for another episode of the Indie Tales Game Dev Livestream. Hey, my name is Adam. You are the Pixel Pals. I've already said the name of the show, so without further ado, it's time to go. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday edition of the stream. Today, we're going to be doing some more Insignia dev. I went to a game dev meetup yesterday, and so I've got a couple of things to report, just some ideas and notes that I got from some of the impressions on the game that we had there. And of course, we're going to be doing animation work for the most part today, but maybe even some UX or story stuff. I'm looking to put a more extended feature test forward for you to play during the stream. So I'll tell you about it in a little bit. Okay. So I want to say a big welcome and thank you to everybody who's here in chat. Some of you from YouTube, some of you from Twitch. Welcome. Also, a big thank you to The Real Napes for the most recent follow, and Nun Falco for the most recent subscription. Welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. It's a pleasure. Okay. So, man, I gotta fix this lighting setup. It makes me look so, like, I think the saturation's maybe a little too high. I think I had to bump it up at some point. And I don't know why it... For whatever reason, I've only just started realizing how deeply crazy it makes me look, but all right, none of that. So let me talk to you about what happened yesterday. So yesterday I took off a little early and I went to a game dev meetup here in Sydney. And big thank you to Charboa for gifting that sub to the Escapegoat. Thank you so much. So I showed off the game, basically, not allowing anybody to play it like with their hands because it's a little early for that. But you know, just sort of showing them what I had and getting their impressions and taking little bits and pieces from different parts of the game. I only really had it open for an hour, maybe like half an hour even. So it wasn't like I got lots of impressions, and I guess I got kind of, you know, I'm the kind of person who's very, very picky about the kind of feedback that I get. If I get negative feedback, I'm quite, you know, I fixate on it because the negative feedback is the stuff that I'm most concerned about, right? So I've been... I'll tell you about this experience that I had with somebody who watched the game being played and their concerns. So basically, I was sort of going through explaining kind of like what the buttons do and what you can do in the game, that kind of thing. And one of the people there, who was also a game developer, expressed a concern that the game's inputs are like not things that they would be comfortable doing, like just the amount of like, you know, different things you can do, but particularly the kind of comprehension layer of the abilities in the game, and sort of remembering which ability you had and that kind of thing. I personally don't really think that that's much of an issue. So they were talking about, there was like one moment particularly where I was kind of describing some of the edge cases of the system, and I think that's kind of where it got a little bit, the conversation got a little bit critical, I suppose, because, you know, there are parts of the game where, you know, I can take out this enemy and I get an ensign, and then I can take out this enemy and you know, do all kinds of stuff. Let me finish him off. So this moment in particular, where like, okay, I've grabbed this one, now I've got that one. Which ensign do I have, and which one is that on the ground? This stuff in particular, they were like, I don't think I'll ever really understand that, even if I played the game, even if blah blah blah. I agree, World Squid, that I think it's really about like, if you're actually playing it, it's not just that you'll have it in your hands, but you'll have to go through the beats of the game unfolding layer by layer. You're not really just going to be dropped into this scenario. Also, this is work in progress. So it's kind of like a not very representative of like an environment where I would be getting useful feedback, you know? It was someone from afar looking at a work in progress thing saying that looks complicated. But I still do think that, you know, there's a lot that can be done to do with, I guess, the intuitiveness of the game. So, you know, do I know what's going to happen when I press one of the buttons? I mean, I know what's going to happen. I understand what this means, but will an average player understand what this means? I know that this is the jump ensign, and I know that there is a wall run ensign that looks different from this. And I can tell the difference if I can see both of them. But I think there is a chance that if I give two at the same time to the player and they don't have a lot of time with them, that they might not be able to tell the difference between that previous one and this one, you know? So I think what this really highlights to me, and it's not really a question of like, I need to go back and change things. It's more a question of, I spent a long time last night thinking about this conversation that I've been having around values in the game. And I want to just take this time to sort of chat with you guys about this stuff, starting with this. So like a week ago, you know, I was thinking about this as being, or 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about this as being a demo where you learn one ability. Okay. If the demo features you learning one ability, then a lot of the rules around the abilities and the possibilities around the abilities is sort of lost, because you don't really know why there are constraints around the abilities in the first place. Like, why do I lose the ability when I go into a new room? You know, why don't I just have permanent access to it? And if I do have permanent access to it, is this not just another Metroidvania or whatever ability-based, you know, game? The reason why you lose them and what makes the game special is that you can mix and match them in a level, and even gain them and lose them in combat. That's kind of like the source, you know, that's the valuable stuff. So I went from thinking, okay, one is not enough. I need to showcase a few different ones. And a few different ones over a period of time with the game, like over like 3 mini dungeon areas. Like 9 rooms, say 3 rooms per ability. That was like the first step. Then the second thought was, maybe I should give them all to the player, like 3 of them to the player very quickly, so that the player can, so that I'm not wasting the player's time being too laborious with, you know, onboarding them through 3 of the same thing before they get to like the more interesting stuff. Which got us here. But now that I look at this, the concern of cognitive overload, so basically making it so complicated that the player can't pick it up fast enough, that is like now like the pendulum swinging in the other direction. Like that's maybe too much too soon. So I have this problem where I'm trying to expedite and fast track the teaching the player the game so that I can show them what's cool about it. But I also don't want to run the risk of over encumbering them too soon. This brings me to this idea about marketing and values. So ultimately, this demo's purpose is to pitch the game to a government agency who's in charge of giving away grants, right? People on a panel. Those people will undoubtedly be assessing more than one Metroidvania or Metroidvania-esque game, side-scrolling platformer with combat, every submission period, right? They're going to be looking at this stuff and saying, okay, what makes this game different each time? My job, making the demo, is to express what's cool about the game in a period of time that respects their time, right? I need to be prompt about showing what's cool about the game. However, given that my game has a lot of depth, I don't want to seem like a game that's too much or unapproachable. That's certainly not. That's certainly a negative. And at the same time, the final thing about this is that I wonder if I am overestimating the degree to which the mechanics are going to make this game special. So, is it possible that I'm undervaluing the graphics and the storytelling in this process? Maybe, slightly, you know. Hey, Lemeta Dragon. No. Hang on. Lemeta Daron? That's hard to pronounce. Welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. So, you know, there are multiple things going on here, and a thought sort of crossed my mind yesterday as I was talking to someone at the meetup event about this catch-22 that I'm in, where we were talking about scope and like what kinds of things deserve to be in scope versus out of scope. And the thing that crossed my mind was this notion of a game that's small but sells itself well is better than a game that's so big that it trips over itself trying to communicate all the things that it does. You know what I mean? Like, if my game only had one system and was just a walking simulator with some dialogue, if that's all the game was, it would be easier for me to explain what was good about it, because I would just have to say, well, it's a great example of this genre, and it does all these beautiful things, and you should be excited based on playing it. Whereas my game now, it's very full. There's a lot of scope. And there's a lot of like space for the player to grow into by design. It's supposed to be big. You're supposed to spend 10 plus hours playing it and getting to grips with the systems over time. So what exactly is my mission in a demo that's only going to be played for probably, I don't know, 20 minutes or so? You know, what is the thing that I need to prove? Is it all of the stuff that makes it cool, or is it the main stuff? Can I just hint at the more advanced combat stuff, or do I have to be explicit? Do I have to show the player? It's probably going to be a very fine balance. I want to say I'm reading all your messages. I haven't been able to respond to them all. Thanks everyone. Game looks great. Love you, bro. Keep up the grind. They will value more the distinctive touch and mechanics of the graphics. Potentially. Hey, Le Metadaran. Le Metadaran. I can see it now. The capitalization makes more sense. Thank you so much. Giacomo says, do you think using AI to do art for a video game is not ethical or fair? It depends. It depends on where you source the AI learning material. Nano B16 says, I work in movies and usually there's a rule to every script. If you can't define it in one line, you don't have it ready. That's interesting. Yeah, I think conciseness is really important, obviously. If you show 2 powers, I think it'll hint that there will be more powers, especially if there are empty slots left. But the thing that's cool is not that there are X amount of powers, it's what can be done across the powers, how they mix and match together. And that's the thing that I'm a little concerned about. So 3, the reason why I chose 3 was because 3 lets me give you 2 that fit in 1 slot and 1 extra one. So you can see how if it's like A, B, and C, and A and B are both green, and red, C is red, I can show you how A works with C, how B works with C, and how you have to sometimes choose between A and B in the right scenario. You know, it's like it's showing you all, at least the core like dimensions of the system. It's like, oh, there are different abilities, they're on different buttons, they serve different functions, but sometimes they replace each other. And how can I mix and match them to solve puzzles? If that's what the game is. If I can have you understand that, you understand how the game works, and you can start imagining, oh, I wonder what the yellow abilities are going to be. I wonder how they're going to differentiate different red abilities. Like, where does this go along down the track? Hey, Twanlin, we're talking about it. We're talking about the meetup now. So Juan says, I believe the game has to be fun first. You could add the most unique skills or level to give a glimpse of what the game feels, but I'm not sure you need to show everything. Hey Jack, por favor, double os videos? I don't know what that's. What language is that? Oh, dub your videos? I'm not sure. Sorry, Jack. Is it Spanish? Collectibles will unlock new areas. Sort of. It's not really a Metroidvania like that, but yeah, there will be secret areas and new areas that unlock when you have access to different abilities. That's right. So hey Crumpet, thank you so much for the resub. 34 months, my dude. Thank you. Time goes quick. Yeah, I think that maybe it just needs to be like 35 minutes long. I think it just needs to be that long. Leveling up ensigns? No, I haven't thought about that. I don't think it's necessary. I think that I need to showcase the systems as they are. I don't think I can crunch them to be any shorter. I think that's doing a disservice. So that's the question, Zombie. Do they get them one at a time, or do they get them all at once? I was planning on having... Oh, I've got options here. This is one ability only. This is multiple abilities one at a time. And this is multiple abilities all at once. Hey, Semperfitus. This is Figma. But I also use like Google Tasks for just tracking. Sometimes I use Choir or Microsoft To Do. These days it's Google Tasks, but most of like the working document is Figma. So the only concern that I have is that the flow of learning an ability is like a 2-minute chunk that in the main game it's going to look like this, right? There's like a quest. And in the framework of the quest, there are zones and there are new enemy encounters and there's events and stuff happening. It's all great, right? And it's all fun and interesting. And then you learn an ability. And then you use the ability in a few different scenarios. And that might take you 20 minutes. Or maybe 10 or 15. Right? And yes, it's a slow burn, but I'm teaching you stuff all the time. I'm showcasing the enemy first here. I'm showcasing the possibilities of what you could do with the ability once you have it here, but you don't have it yet. I'm doing a story sequence, maybe another story beat. You're going into a dungeon, you're doing some stuff, you come back, you learn the ability, and now you can go back through the level and do interesting stuff with it, right? Having solved the quest as well. The quest moves forward and it takes you back through or whatever. There's stuff that's happening that's not just, I'm learning a thing, right? But you are learning the thing in the mix. The problem with this is that this model works for a full game. It works if you've already paid for the game and you're going to spend a couple of hours playing it. It doesn't work if you are in a demo, right? Also, the game is complicated. The puzzles, the systems are complicated. So I can't actually dump three of these in a space like this. Unless maybe I do the first one like this, and then the next two come very quickly. You know? Probably within a little bit of each other. You know? Maybe the first one is kind of a little bit more slow paced, a little bit more careful, and then it picks up the pace. That's a great suggestion. And somebody mentioned it yesterday, and I didn't even realize it until they did so. But I should be checking in with the people who've had their games accepted for the grant. Yeah, that's on my to-do list for this week. We could search some. We could go have a look. Should we just do a quick Google? Hey, Sharky. This is game's expansion pack. I don't think that's the one. The Sacred Acorn. So this game was funded. But I don't think this was for the same amount that I'm looking for. This might have been, I think extra was only 30K. There's some cool stuff in this. This is Games Expansion Pack. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the Games Production Fund. It seems like that was something different. I don't know what it is. I think it's the equivalent. Oh, this is old? Way back? Hey, Zank. What was the game's expansion pack? $150,000. Oh wow, they actually lowered it. It was 150 and now it's just 100. So they got 150K. Okay. Well then. I think we got this, pals. Just quietly. $100 is all that they offer these days. Oh, I know. This is Dan's game. Oh, this got funded? Oh, that's sick. This is Dan... What's his surname? Dan... Free... I forget the rest of his surname. Dan Freer. Yeah, he's great. Oh, he's an amazing pixel artist and game dev. Yeah, it looks cool too. Like he's definitely I would definitely fund this if I was in a position to do that. Yeah, his game's amazing. Feels almost like a Minish Cap, but 2D. Cool. So yeah, I mean, I think we can get this. I just got to really get this stuff right. I can't. My concern is that the game will feel too complicated, but we're gonna do whatever we can to make it not feel complicated. Okay, so I think it has to be get one ability, get two more. So that would look like I do have to show them a business plan and a budget. Yeah, I have to do that. That's right. A pixel font. I don't know many. I usually make my own. If you want, you can use mine. It's called Or instead. It's on itch.io. I think that's the address. Oh, not that. There you go. My tweeter? I don't think I have a tweeter with font. But if you want this one, I made this one. You can use it if you want. But it costs $1. Okay. So yeah, I think I know how I would do this. It's just a little bit Hey, Andraste? Andrast? Hey. Oh my gosh. El Hacedor de Cosas. El Hacedor de Cosas. Thank you so much for the follow. I don't know what that means. I hope I didn't say a swear word. So I think we're gonna have to drop you into this space. Not this one. I think I'm gonna have to do the maker of things. Comprendo. So this dungeon, I might have to show the player, or at least a version of this. The one who got funded through it. I don't have a friend who got funded through it. I have somebody, Arkenpixel, who sometimes joins us on stream, has applied. So they've been helping me out a little bit. I did make the scene graph tab, yeah. So like all of this stuff, I could reappropriate this scene to take this little dude out. But keep all of this stuff. Oh, Dan. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, he is my friend. I do know him. We've met in person. Am I doing Bracky's Jam? No. Yeah, Dan. I could ask Dan for some advice for sure. Yes. My brain wasn't up to speed. Yes, I could ask Dan. So I feel like I could take this and swoop it into a smaller version that doesn't require you to do the bits that are off to the side and doesn't include this little dude. And then I could have this scene, this quest appear later in the game with a different ensign and one that's not about Rise. I think I have to do that. Oh, I won't be removing Oliver. He'll just... This dungeon, I'll be repurposing for a different ensign. That's all. The minigame where you forge swords, it's still in the game technically, but it won't be in the demo. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think I might just... I think I know what I need to do here to make this work. I think. It's just a lot of work. Might have to leave some of this stuff unpolished, but that's okay. I mean, like the demos that were sent in were probably unpolished too. All right. So now my objective is to block out exactly what the content's going to be. I need to do that. what needs to be polished is the UX. When is the demo due? So the submission is due April 12th, which is not that long away anymore. It was a while away until it wasn't. So I really have like 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. I have like a month. How much will the demo cost? Oh, it won't cost anything to play the demo. But this demo is not for public. This is for funding. But I might polish the demo and then put it out for the public. There is I don't know. We'll see. You goblin. The demo costing something is just a joke. Oh, okay. Sorry, pals. Why do they say that? What it does Thor charge for the demo? I'm not in this joke. I don't know this one. Just trolls. Okay. Sure, got it. You know, I'm really tired today, and I know that I'm tired because of how deep my voice is. So I'm hoping that maybe I can step in and fill that role for you while Thor is offline. You know? Right, chat? I'll be your deep-voiced streamer. Okay. You're gonna need it a little bassier. Sure. I'll need to play around with the EQ settings on the mic to get it a little bit more depth in there. It's there. Oh, it's focused. Okay. So let's do this. We were doing animations this week. I'm just gonna let this stuff that I've been talking about gestate a little more. So in the meantime, I won't do any more level design. I'm just gonna think about the remaining animations and just get them done this week so that I can move on from them. So let's get out of here. And let's go to a nice place where we can test out all the moves. Cool. Here we are in the nice place. So we've got attacks, hiya hiya. We've got parry, we've got backstep, forward thrust, upswing, downswing, up air, down air, neutral combo in the air. We've got all the attacks here. So it's really just the backstep, and the forward thrust has a little bit of needs some animation to it. But we're pretty close, actually. The dodge roll's pretty okay. It's a little old, a little outdated, but just the backstep today. Can you put your streams into a YouTube playlist? Huh? You can go to my channel and just check the streams. They don't go anywhere. You can go and check them out. They're there permanently. Just click live. Look at that. All the streams. At least since the beginning of the year. Yeah, you can enjoy them. Look, I have to keep saying this every day this week. There is a good chance that I'm going to stop streaming on YouTube. Partly because I get a lot of people unsubbing every time I stream on YouTube. They must see me in the browse page and like think, oh, I don't want to watch a stream, unsub. And it's kind of like not. It's not very. It's quite alarming how many people unsub. It's not like making my sub count drop per se. Like I'm still gaining more subs than I'm losing, but I'm actually losing a fair amount of subs this way. Why not use a different account? I just don't know why I would do that, you know? I don't know. It feels a little weird. It feels like the opposite of what I'm trying to do by creating a second channel, you know? So, I don't know. Anyway. So, backstep. That's really it. And then we'll fix that thrust animation so that we've got the head visible on each of the frames. But we're doing really well. Let's add that backstep. And then some of the attack animations, the special animations, need a bit of help. Okay, where is this animation? Backstep slash. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Where does this come from? Sword stance to backstep. Sword stance 2. There it is. Okay, so we got this, we got this. The backstep, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, it's just a, I don't know. There's not much other than obviously the wonderful presence of those of you who are watching on YouTube right now. The streaming on YouTube, like those videos don't typically get monetized, or they'll get copyright claimed for the music that plays, which for whatever reason is unavoidable. They kind of split the audience a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not great having two different audiences with two different chat feeds. So there are some cons to streaming on YouTube. I'd love for, if I do end the streams on YouTube, I'd love for those of you who are on YouTube to join me on Twitch. I haven't made a decision yet, but that's just where I'm at right now. All the numbers drop when you do lives on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why it's like that. People just don't like seeing it in their feeds, I think. So this backstep, how have I got this set up now? It's kind of like one frame that kind of sits for a little bit, and then there's a big slash. I could probably take these 3 frames as the startup and then go straight to this. Especially if I swap the sword. Do you get paid when they watch YouTube live streams with premium without ads? Oh, I don't know. Basically, not in, like once a YouTube live ends, well, first of all, for whatever reason, ads don't play on my YouTube lives. They just don't. I don't know why. They just don't play. That's the first thing. Second thing, when those lives become VODs, typically they only get a couple thousand views, and then they won't get any views. Like as soon as a stream is like a week old, it's done. Because there are other streams that replace it. So it's just, they're just not very monetized. I don't know why. He trying his best. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, if I could, I would just obviously stream everywhere that I could, in as many places as possible. Especially if it meant that I could keep the, what's the word? If I could consolidate the chat, I would love that. But I have to make the best decision that I've got, unfortunately. So I'm just going to keep my eye on it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, gosh. Yeah. It's, there's literally there's no winning with this stuff, unfortunately. I think this sword, I actually kind of want it to be in the other hand. Oops. It's kind of all backwards. I kind of want it to be like... Gosh, how do I orchestrate this? This goes there. This goes there. This goes there. This goes there. This goes... Whoop. This goes here. This goes here. This goes here, and I flip it. And then this goes here, and I flip that. Not quite. We tried. I think I could kind of just take this frame, this one here, and then just delete the other three. I hate doing this, but oh well. And then just paste it. And then just put it on his hand in each of these frames. Or, alternatively, I could have it... Let's just like... I gotta delete it. It's not right. It's not doing what it needs to do. I think I would have it be... Take his hand, move it so that his hands are both, he's holding it on both. And then go like... And then it would be like, his arm would be like this. And then his arm would be like this, with the sword kind of like lifting a little maybe. And then keep the sword lifted. The arm on it. I put like maybe sometimes like 5 hours, sometimes 8 on a single animation, but I don't think that's like normal. It's just kind of what I've become accustomed to. Maybe it is normal. I guess it depends on how like professional you want them to be. Or maybe I've got this backwards. Maybe the sword needs to be back this way. I'm holding a sword. And I want to end up back here. I guess I could flatten it out. Yeah, I mean, you can watch my streams this week and see how long it's taken me to do certain things. Some of these animations, I've taken like an entire stream, like 3 or 4 hours. And it wasn't even, like, I didn't even start from scratch. I actually had an animation already there. So yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not blitzing it. These days, I'm sort of just focused on getting it right. But there's also a lot of detail in my sprites too, and there's a lot of rotations, so I don't get to copy paste quite as much as I would have otherwise liked to. I wonder sometimes if I've just sort of become a bit stuck in my ways when it comes to this stuff. Where like maybe there's just like a way, way better way to do what I do. And I just do it the way I do it because I've always been doing it this way. I don't know. I definitely feel like it's faster these days than it used to be, but I also feel like the fidelity's higher. Yeah, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's facing the wrong way now. It works for this. That's a good place to be. But this frame is just not where it's at. And this rotation's gonna kill me, man. I just have a feeling it's not gonna work. Let's give it a try. It's almost better to keep it up and come towards the camera. Just undo all that. Because the stance position is sword guard. Which is not really this, but it's close to that. It's this. Okay. Do I have this set up? No, but I will. So really, this is the frame that we need to start with. Hey, Skytech. Ah, nice to meet you. Bryce Cube Boy, thank you so much for the follow. Andraste, thank you so much for the follow. So the sword needs to be, you know, probably still up here. Which is where I had it earlier today. Oh, man. If I just go back all the way, it was here. I can re-rig it a little to be more like this. Yeah, I think that's the best I can do, actually. I think the way I had it was probably the closest I'm going to get. It just feels so wrong. Because what's hard about this is that it's actually not that intuitive of a move. Typically, if you're going to jump back, you're going to swing as you come back. Like you're going to go, Fya! All in one go. And in fact, you're going to start swinging and you're going to jump as you end the swing with the momentum of your hand, right? This is the opposite. This is you jump back and then you swing. So like the body has to hit, the feet have to plant back in the ground. And when they land, then the arms come back. So in order to make that work, the sword has to stay kind of forward for the duration of this thing. Because if the sword's in front as you're jumping back, you have somewhere to cut from, right? You're already in a position where you're ready to cut. Whereas if you jump back and the sword's over here, now the next attack is a forward attack. Like it doesn't work. I could probably make it work from here. But that's not really a position where you're ready to do anything from. You know, that's just not a strong pose. The closest thing to this would be, you know, that. But now you got to swing. You got to step forward again in order to do the thing. So, we'll see. This was what I was looking at before. So something like this, where you step back and slash. This is kind of like... I might have to do this one from scratch. I don't think I've got it. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's see if we can do it in like 1 keyframe or 2 keyframes. I use a drawing pad. Well, let's think about what it needs to do. It could be like a spin back into a slash. Like a pirouette away. And then as he's coming back around, he slashes back forward. That would be kind of perfect, but it might be quite difficult to animate. Although, it's your boy. Not backspin, but spin back. All right. Let's see what I got here. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing here. I think it's like, let's take blue. It's like this arm is the arm where everything has to happen. So this arm is going to sort of straighten out as he starts to rotate. And then it's going to flick around. I'm sure I animated this. I feel like I've done this recently. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's the 3rd hit of the sword combo 7. Sword. Sword. It's this. It's literally this. Let's have a little bit of a physical roleplay here for a second. I'm here, blocking. I'm going to jump back. And I'm going to catch you on the other side, which is what this is. It's literally the same thing. So can I... Hey, Cozy Toes. Oh, thank you so much. It's a shame that it's like, gosh, it's literally exactly the same thing as the third hit of the combo. It needs to feel different. Let's just come back to the fundamentals of this. So the context where you use this is when something big is charging at you and you're going to do sort of like a parry, right? It's a back. Yeah, it's at the top left, Bindi. Top left of the stream. Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's like a dodge out of the way and then slash as they pass by, or sort of rebound, like sort of reflect what they're doing back at you. I do have a parry separately from all this stuff. That's very old. That's very old too. Do I not have a newer parry than this? Maybe not. Reversal? What is reversal? Oh, that's interesting. I don't want that. Well, he's already, if you understand, in this setup, he's here. That's the starting pose. So you have to go into this target stance in order to do this. So it's whatever you can do from this point, from this pose, that's what it is. Maybe it is like a parry. Maybe it just is one. Like maybe he jumps back holding the sword up in front of him and then does like a big block away. So it's basically this, but the sword stays up at around his face. Windmills the blade. That feels a little... not that the game doesn't have a fantasy element, but that feels a little crazy. Let me just see what I can do here. And I do have parry mechanics in the game. So I can actually make it be a parry box where it needs to be hit by something to do the follow-up. It's like, we're here. I'm using a tablet. I'm kind of keeping the blade sort of like this. It's not a... I mean, there are other apps out there, but the ones that are half decent all cost a little bit. Not a lot. It's not crazy. It's kind of this, but not quite. Man, I loved making this. Okay, let's go back to where we are. So it's elbow out. I feel like maybe then this needs to be more like this. For this to be like... What is the pose? Here. And we're letting the sword kind of press against our shoulder. So maybe it's more like this. With the guard. Sort of here. And the hand kind of over it. And then the other hand kind of coming up from underneath. Like that. It's unfortunately this lean back is no longer, it doesn't work with this pose. I don't want to draw the whole thing again. I really don't want to do that. I want to salvage what I can, but I'm just not sure what there's going to be left. Like, this makes literally no sense. I could take this leg and just bring it back a little. Maybe drop the knee down. Way better. Way, way, way better. Okay, this is, I think, salvageable. I think we have something that works. It's hard for me to know really what I'm looking at, but... I think we're getting there. So let's take that and export that. I'm not sure what's gonna... Oh, that already reads a lot better. I know it's not right. Like, it's not good yet. And the flip is the wrong way. The sword swing is the other way. But just seeing the sword at his chest there in front makes my brain accept that he's ready to do an attack. It's more of like a slash of some sort. Hey, Reese Achu, thank you so much for the follow. And Gesundheit. No, other way. I used a feature of Unity that's not really user-facing. It's called Graph View. Graph View is their internal node-based tool, like their graph tool for making internal features like shader graph and VFX graph. You can get at Graph View without, like you don't need to download a package or anything. It's just kind of in there. You just need to know which libraries to target, and you need to extend a few different classes that are native to it so that you can edit them. Once you do that, it's just a lot of guessing. Somebody uploaded the source to Graph View and just all of Unity's source. So you can use that as a way of poking around and finding the functions and what the internal classes are, and like what the functions in the internal classes are, so that you can like modify them properly. But that's what I did. It's a little bit Hackerman's, you know. It's not very intuitive. There's no tutorial for it. You kind of just have to sort of fiddle until you get something going. But then, you know, you can tweak it from there and make it work for you. Okay. The first frame needs to feel kind of more like this frame, right? The body is going back. The sword is heavy. So the sword should be almost over here on this first frame. Which is not super intuitive. Yeah. 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 I almost want it to sort of, right now we're holding it up. I almost think it should tilt down a little as we step back. Because we're going to cut across, and most people, they want to cut this way. Not, because the arm is like, it's down here, right? The arm is down, the arm wants to come up. So you want to swing up and around, rather than if it's up here, you have to swing down. But you're already here, so you're swinging down and away, which is kind of fine too, actually. Maybe I just have to do this right. So this frame is just nonsense. This doesn't make any sense anymore at all. What I can do, I love this frame, man. Holy shit, I love that frame. I just wish I could use it for something. It's just not, it just doesn't work in the game yet. Cool. I don't actually have a frame like what I want here, so I can make this work. I'll just make a new frame for this. There's nothing fancy linking a sprite to the engine. No, it's just, it's literally just that I've got, hang on a second. I will be 1 second. I've just got the ASprite project file inside of my Unity directory. It's not even, you don't even need to do that. It just means that when you do export, right? This destination, or even if you do output sprite sheet, wherever this destination is, where it exports to, as long as that's inside your Unity project, it'll just do it. You don't have to like link anything, because all you're doing is updating a PNG that already lives in the project, right? So if it's exporting to one of these files, then it will just update there. What kind of sword is he holding? It's like a bastard sword. It's like a hand and a half. But the crossguard is a grail. The crossguard is a cup. It's magic. So I'm sure I redid this frame. Yeah, it works with Godot. Of course it does. I'm pretty sure. All these engines do, right, is open files. That's all they do. They just have files that they can read in order to render onto the screen. They don't have like additionally, there's no like internal file with the bit data from the PNGs saved in some binary obfuscated way. It's like the PNGs are there in your directory. So if you update the PNGs, they'll update in the game. You know? Like, it's just, they're just bitmaps. How did I not? I know that I've done this. I know that I've done this. I just don't know where it is. Got sword wield. That's not sword wield. Yeah. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I've done with the animation. I just know that I took this at one point and I updated it. Unless this is the updated version, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Okay. Unless it's here. Nope. Okay, whatever. I'll just draw it myself. BFG 9000. BFG 9000. You have to type in the right code to get it. IDDQD. No clip. Sup, monsters? How's it going? We are trying to finalize some character animation sets. How's it going with you? This, doing some personal tool work. I get it. At the moment, we're working on a backstep into like a parry. So I've done almost all of the base animation set. So I've got 3-hit combo. I got upswing. I got downswing. I got neutral. I got backstep, which I'm doing now. I got forward thrust. I got down on the ground and up on the ground. It's definitely getting there, for sure. Oh, that wasn't supposed to trigger. Whoops. Don't worry. Don't worry. None of this is... Well, that didn't look so bad, but it's not really supposed to be at this part of the game. So it's coming along. Like, it's getting there. The VFX on the sword swings is still work in progress. These ones look closer to what I might use. But some of these, like, that's not. And, like, that's not really. And that's not. An extra frame on hit. I do a bit of a hit stop. It's very subtle. Yeah, it's magic. But also hammer space, and it's a pixel art game. He never sheaths it because, like, what am I gonna do? Have a sheath animation? It's just not practical, you know? So that's where we're at. The other thing I'm doing today, monsters, is I've been working on abilities, not today, but this week, and I've got some animation frames to do for those too. So I'm considering keeping these as like freeze frames. So check this out. When you do this attack, there's a nice this, and I kind of hold the pose while you're in the animation. I think it mostly works. Oh, he's talking to you. Would you call us monsters? I was. I don't call you guys monsters. Yeah, I call so much monsters. Because that's their username. Yeah, so I like this. I think this is sick. And it saves me time and energy. But then there's like this one, which is a wall run. And right now it's just this, but I wonder if it should have the stepping up the run, like up the steps. Right now it's kind of like a just feels a little flat. I don't know. I might also do, right now it's very linear. I might do a bit of like a acceleration on it. I think it just doesn't have that, like this one is a bit, see how it's like, you get that ease in on the actual the physics motion on it. The root motion is like, feels like, let's go. Whereas like this one, the backflip is cool, but like when I'm doing it on the wall, it's like, right? It doesn't have that like, yeah, to it. So maybe once I get the curve on the motion, it won't feel quite as bad. We'll see. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. Wait, what? And this one? Okay. Just block this bad boy out. might just take the frame and just place it where this one was. I don't know what. Oh, okay. I just bring this down, copy this one, and paste this there, and then just, I don't know, delete that because I don't want it anymore. And then if I just export all these, it'll automatically be where I want it to be, except I'll lose my back frames. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Whoops. Okay. Okay. You are also here. I'm just gonna delete these. I don't need them anyway. And I don't need that one either, to be honest. Just take that 3 times and go. Bob's your uncle. Destructive edits. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Maybe it needs a bit more of an extension. And he kind of gets a bit small. I do that really often. I accidentally lose his scale. Oh, that looks okay. If I add the hair in there. Let's just do the crossover on my arm so that you can see what the hell we're doing. And then back leg, front leg. Bit of drop shadow there. Bit of this. Bit make this sort of disappear as we go. Whoops, not that one. I really should have put this on a different frame or a different layer, like a good boy. All right, let's be reasonable here. Slower to start, faster to end. Hey, Deno Dev. Scene graph is something that I made, yeah. A little bit of internal tooling. Man, Today my workflow is just a wreck, just a mess. I don't know what I'm doing. What is this pose? Get out of here. Okay, so this, I think it's okay, but it's not dramatic enough. And I think it's the fact that his arms are both closed. I feel like he needs to open them up, which is what I usually do with that kind of animation. And I feel like if he opens it up, we can extend the motion a bit further. So it's really just, it's basically this frame. It's basically this pose. Let's take you and then go like interlink between cells. And then we can do the thing. You do the Bruce Lee. Cha! And then we can take this and make it like way, way further out. I mean, that's probably better. But I want that smear to be more of a sweep horizontally. I want it to be flatter. So let's replace that. It's got to really be just this. That's not bad. It's getting closer. But we can go further forward too now. So this can go like all the way out here. Just for funsies. Where is my impact frame? That's better. We just need a bit of what's the word? Overshoot? It looks a little odd to me that the blocking standing position have the sword looking a little bit more to the front than the start of the backslash animation. That starts with the sword more towards his shoulder. You're talking about this, where the guard is under his chin versus this, where the sword is down a little bit in front of him. You're talking about the difference between this and this, like this versus this. The idea being that he's throwing his back, and the sword being heavy, harder to bring with him. So he's kind of like jumping back and then pulling the sword with him. It's kind of a bit of a Disney, it's not real. It's kind of a Disneyfication of what's happening. But maybe he just needs to go back further. What's the hitbox on this? Have I got this right? It's a little over. I can step it back a little though. That's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, slash upper. What does the upper look like? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, slash. Okay, so it is the same. I think it's the lack of anticipation frames, maybe. Not the lack of anticipation. It's the back step slash. The other one decays a lot faster, so you get a bit of a beat. Let's take this, put it here, take this away, go here. Starting from there, going to there. We want it to be a bit more of a stronger decay. So it's this, but it's more like this. Nah. Keep going, bro. Keep sliding. So it should be more like this, I guess. Maybe even like this, like, and then the slash. Something like that even. We can extend the distance between the two a little further out, so he kind of travels a bit further. Do I like the old animations from Another World and Flashback? You mean like rotoscoped animation? Do I like it? It's okay. I don't have any like major thoughts about that kind of animation. It's not really, in a way, it's sort of not even animation if it's rotoscoped. Although, actually, I'm not sure how much rotoscoping there is in Another World. I think there's some, but... Oh, we also made a big mistake here. He's not aligned correctly. This and this. Look at how far back he is. Needs to be forward, which means I could probably take the smears that I just did and pull them back, but whatever. Hey Swizz, how's it going? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, so now let's put this in practice. Let's try it in a battle. I feel like it works now, like kinematically, like physically. It feels like I buy it, you know, when I look at it. It's not the best version of itself it can be yet, but it will be. You know, I just think it needs a bit of a... Come on, mate. Come at me. Yeah. It needs, like... Needs a little bit of spice, you know? Needs a bit of, like... Maybe even like a swing away. Like from, maybe it's like a downward sweep or something. Ooh. The Shoryuken into the sky. Does feel quick. Why does this feels so long, whereas this feels like nothing. I'm not sure how fast I play the animation. Let me check the frame rate on that. Back step slash. $15. That's seems like a lot of frames per second. Yeah, it doesn't have the animation yet. I just did a keyframe, so you're not going to feel the weight because there is no weight. We've only just put it in the game. We only just put it in. And also, it's a really high frame rate. So what is like the upswing do? That's 12 and 12. Yeah, so this is actually 3 FPS faster, which it should not be. Yeah. It also, I'll be honest, it's not the most physically accurate animation. The idea that someone, like, what he's doing, it's not a very feasible thing for a person to do with a sword. I can make it feel better. Like, I know what I would need to do. I need the extension to be deeper in the follow through. So it's not just this. It needs to be like more comments. Why do you feel that, World Squid? Oh, is this a... I don't know if this is a meme or not. You memeing me? Yeah, I thought so. This is from what, like 2 weeks ago? These references you giving me now? I thought maybe you meant this script on the animation. I'm like, oh, excuse me? This again? Guys, the back seat is full. And it's Valentine's Day. So if you're going to be in the back seat, you guys have to make out with each other. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that more often. Since you're all in the back seat, you have to make out. I said a clever thing. Yeah, so this frame, we can make it go like to 11 if we really want. We can crank this one up. We can crank it. Well, not going down, like starting like down to up, like down and away. I've been playing a fair bit of, well, I've been practicing a fair bit of golf recently, so I'm sort of taking the physics lessons I've been getting on golf and applying them to this. Trying to play golf, obviously not succeeding. That almost feels like it could be a follow through. Let's get rid of you. Could bring this a little more forward. Insignia putt heroes. You play as all the different characters and you play on different courses and putt heroes. Janitor Jow. Don't touch the ground. Get that smear back in there. Get him. Pya. That's pretty good. It's not bad. That's certainly getting there. Oof. Well, that's supposed to parry. Man, this move has so much life in it. There's so many frames. I really like it. Yeah, we can make this even more extreme. Just as a thought. Take this and go like down here. Make this like this. Take this and bring it even over here. Make this go up here. Bring this even higher up. Bring this to higher up. You know what I mean? Like, that is so much weaker than that. Thanks, Doctor. Welcome. Brain is too higher up. No, wrong frame. I could shift this knee forward. Straighten this one out. Nah. Guess it would go out this way more. Cool. Hold that frame for just one more. Yep. Oh, I tried to be cool. Whoop. Oh, can I flip over him? Not really. Unless I do that. I can do it. I can style on him. I might die. I might die. I might die. Nope. Do I have any ideas on how to make a boss that can detect the player movement so that the boss can parry the player or the attack? How to detect their movement? Yeah, I mean, like, you know where the player is. So you just take that into account, the distance to the player, or whatever you want to do. Hey, Angel of Liberty, that's a really good question. I don't make it different for now. And if I do make it different, it'll be like, because this is the thing, if they're going to behave differently under a different situation, how are you going to show that to the player? Because the player does this thing when they play the game. They start trying to learn patterns. So if the patterns change in an invisible way, like, oh, if there's one enemy, it does this, but if there's two enemies, they do that. It becomes a little more like you have to start paying more attention or like try to figure out why it's different. Like, for example, if you gave an enemy different moves, if there were two of them, so that one of them does these set or the other one does this set. That would be an extreme example. A subtle example would be something like how enemies take turns in like an Assassin's Creed game. That's less of an issue because it's less about like the enemies behaving differently and more about just like one enemy behaving at a time and the other one's kind of like waiting in the wings. So if it's just that, I haven't got anything in the game right now that does that, but I spent some time in, I think it was 2021, considering how I would do that. Or early 2022, thinking about joint enemy behavior. So like maybe I would have like a group logic modifier so that it can tell one of the enemies to attack at a time, stuff like that. It's definitely like, it's not something that I haven't considered, but I don't do anything right now. I really don't like how long it takes for him to start falling out of that tumble. It's so annoying. He's so... I never get that hit off because I'm still in the air enjoying my aerial state. It's the juggle. It's this thing. Is it just this? This is 1.5 seconds. We can extend that out another 10 ms, a little bit more. Cool. Let's try it. Oh, all of the enemies, hey? Well, they should all have the same juggle behavior, so... Let's just see what happens. It is a rabbit hole. And you know what? It's not necessarily better. Okay, well that worked. Okay. It works, but I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. These guys have like too much HP, I think. Okay. Where were we? We were here. We wanted to finish this today. Don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not even really 100% sure about this animation. What does red do for the player? What do you mean, what does red do? Oh, the recovery frames on this aren't finished either. Yeah, I think we could do a bit more of a sweep. Oh, well, the different red abilities have different, I mean, they do different things. So there's no just one red ability. There's like 4. Red is horizontal movement. So it's offensive horizontal movement. Some of them are, like one of them is like a ground slide. One of them is a forward thrust through the air. And I've got some others that I'm sort of thinking about, but I don't have any hard things. Although one of them, so there's always one of them affects the enemies. 3 of them affect the player. So there's like, basically, there are ensign abilities, and then there's like one ability that's sort of like, you have to have the crystal for it. There's like it's like a concentrated magic thing, a bit like materia in Final Fantasy. And that one, if you have the crystal, which is you get one of those per chapter. Once you have that ability basically launches enemies backwards. So it's the difference between launching arm and forwards and pushing an enemy back. So you can knock them off cliffs and stuff, maybe. Haven't really fully decided, but it's like a backward blast kind of thing. That's looking way better. Don't you think, Diamond? It could have gone the other way. Like right now, it's down and up. It could have gone from top to bottom. Is this rated E? I haven't applied for the ESRB, so I couldn't tell you what it's rated because it doesn't have a rating yet. You basically have to declare what's in the game. You have to say, this game has, you know, cartoon violence or smoking or whatever. And they have criteria based on that. And then they award you a rating based on, yeah, what's in it. Ugh, my eyeballs. I haven't slept very well the last couple of nights, so I'm a little bit exhausted today. Might need a break, I think. Alright, pals. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. See ya in a bit. We back. Welcome back. Welcome back to stream. Okay. What are we doing? I could do this very quickly. All right, whatever. Let's do the work. Do the work, bro. That way I can move on from it. Do the fuck. Yeah, why don't you do the fuck? That's what we are paying you for. Thoughts on Godot for a completely new game dev? If you're a completely new game dev, I think that you are probably not going to miss the parts of Godot that are missing, the parts of Unity that are missing in Godot. Not that Godot is like a Unity clone or anything like that, but I just, you know, sometimes I compare these things because, you know, it's what people do. So I put it this way. If you're like ready to make a serious game in an engine, Godot might not be there for you yet. It just might not be ready. But particularly because of the lack of multi-platform support and a couple other things. But if you're just starting out, and you're making small games, or if you're just making games that, you know, as a hobby, you're just sort of like starting your game dev journey, I think Godot is great. The real issue with this, with what I just said, the real issue is that nobody thinks to themselves, I just want to make small games. Everybody thinks, well, I want to make big games. I want my game to be a big success one day, and why would I cut myself, you know, why would I force myself to use something worse? Why would I learn and invest all that time if it's not going to be as good as whatever? And the reason why I say, well, that's not really how it works is, one, you don't really have the odds that, you know, you're going to make the next massive game as your first game are not high. So if you're just learn game dev, you know, like you don't have to aim so high on your first go. Second thing is, like, Godot is improving. So there will come a time when I can say, yeah, Godot is exactly what you want it to be, and it does all the things, and you should use it. No caveats. It's just good. It's not there yet. It's just not there right now. That's the only thing. So honestly, I do recommend using it if you're a beginner, because I think by the time you want it to be whatever, it's probably going to have those features. And most of the features that I'm really complaining about are, you know, they're kind of like advanced features anyway. Like it's not really stuff that you couldn't work around if you really had to. You can work around them. So yeah, hope that makes some sense. I think it's a good choice for a beginner. I think right now, today, it's not the best long-term choice, but I think it will pay off if you... I don't think you'll be like worse off as a developer if you start with in it. I think you'll actually get a faster start. Hey, Zenryoku. Thank you so much. When do you think an indie game dev should start streaming their progress? Ooh, that's completely up to you. I don't think it's a when. I think it's an if. You know, it's not necessarily something that you want to do, but if you've decided that it is something that you want to do, then you should just do it whenever you want. Start at the beginning. Why not? I think that streaming your progress is something that you do if you want to be working in a, if you want to be creating a kind of a community around your project. And that's not for everybody. Or like, or another way to put it would be like, if you're trying to create a sense of, you know, if you're trying to build your marketing for your game out while you're building the game, that's when you would consider doing, you know, dev streaming. And I think that that aspect of it, if you are prepared to do that, if you want to build the marketing for your game out, you could do that straight away. There's no need to wait for that. You just, there's no like, people will watch you build any aspect of it, but streaming's not for everybody. That's all I'll say. Like, you know, you have to enjoy the process of it, because, you know, I don't think that it's actually very feasible to build like a huge community from scratch, like off nothing, if you stream like once a week, you know, or if you stream for like an hour a day. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think you've got to like be very consistent. You basically got to make a job out of it. And even then, it has to not be your entire income. I just think that the audience for game dev streaming is it's very small. So you have to become like you have to become a regular in this category in order to have it be something that's worth the time that you put in. So for me, like, I feel like it's always been worth it for me, because where the game has been at and where I've been at as a streamer, it's sort of like kept in step for the most part. There was a period of time, maybe like, I would say like a year ago, I was seriously considering, or maybe like 18 months ago, I was considering whether streaming was even worth doing anymore. Like I had a period of growth that was very consistent for I basically experienced this till about 2020 or like 2021, and then it started going like this. And if it had gone the way it was going, if it had gone like this is like an awesome place to be. This is like, let's say this is the viewership, concurrent viewers. I got to like 110 or so, you know, pretty quickly. Like maybe like, or even like 70, 80. I hit that number pretty quickly. But then it kind of tapered off and settled at about 130. And it sort of sat there for a long time. And now, even now, it's still kind of averages 130, 140. Sometimes I get to 200 if I'm really lucky, you know, like. But if you could reach like, for the time that I put into it, you know, it would be nice if it was more like 500 viewers concurrently. Like, that would be sick. That would be crazy. Because at that point, it basically would fund like the game pretty much, I think. If like the return, like if what it makes for me in terms of like my money, like my income and like the way that my following is, I guess, like shaped, if that number like tripled to get to here or more, like 3.5 times, 3.5x, oh yeah, like I'd be totally sweet. But I've never been able to crack this number, this like 150 to 200 number. It just doesn't, I just haven't been able to do it. And I think that what happens is, like, you at a certain point, you have to bring the audience, whether that's from other channels on Twitch to your channel or from other platforms to you. Like Pirate Software's success is one of a kind. Like, I don't know there's in the history of game dev streaming, there is no other game dev streamer who just comes from Twitch and has a following over like 400 concurrent viewers. It just doesn't exist. Like every other streamer that has more, like Jonathan Blow has more, or like what's that guy's name? Tom what's his name? They come from other platforms. They bring an audience with them, you know? Whereas like myself and maybe a few others, whose names I am forgetting right now. Tom Fulp, maybe Tom. I don't think it's Tom Fulp. Tom Fulp's the Newgrounds guy, right? What's her name? Is it Jenna? There are a few other game dev streamers, Thomas Brush, I think, yeah, who are on Twitch, who are basically exclusively on Twitch. And I think we all sit around the same sort of, you know, sub 400 view accounts. Although I could be wrong about that. But I've definitely plateaued. So, and you know what? Like I kind of plateaued. And on the flip side, my YouTube channel went like this. It did the same sort of thing. It sort of plateaued, but well, not plateaued, but it's slower, the growth. But that growth is at like, you know, 200,000 plus now. We're at like, you know. So, exactly. Like Pirate Software's YouTube Shorts stuff probably is a huge contributing factor. So yeah, the category itself, you know, concurrent viewership, it's not super high across the category. So you have to bring those viewers somehow. Like, you know, the next streamer down from me is 70, and then nobody above 50 out of how many channels? There's more channels streaming than there are people watching the second highest channel. Do you think you still would have plateaued if you streamed on Twitch? What? I do stream on Twitch. I am still streaming on Twitch. This is happening on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Yeah, it's just I think some of it is like, I don't know. Some of it's luck, some of it's the game that you're making, some of it is the kind of show that you're able to put on. Like with my stream, it can't really be like an entertainment extravaganza, you know? It's kind of like, I got work to do and I'm trying to do it. Whereas, you know, other streamers might have a bit more freedom with their content. Maybe just like the way that they're approaching what they're doing gives them the space to, you know, have a bit more fun with it. That might seem like a bit of a cop-out. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I know for sure that my mods think I can do more. That's what I feel. And I want to do more. It's just, it's so hard to express why it's hard. I think the time zone doesn't help me for sure. Yeah, of course, it doesn't help. But I hazard to, I don't know if it's like the be all end all. I don't know. I think that there's this problem where when you stream or make any content, you will find this thing happens where there's the content that you make naturally that people watch, that's easy for you to make. Like this content, the way I've been streaming for the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's like, it's easy for me to do this. I like doing it. It's natural. I don't have to put on a mask. I don't have to be someone I'm not. And I can spend 5 hours a day being myself. You know, I'm okay with that. If you say to me like, oh, but you would get, you know, twice as many viewers if you be more of a showman, if you like amp it up or do more stuff or whatever it is, that as soon as you breach that comfort zone, that level that takes more energy from you to do, if it's not comfortable and it's not something that could ever be comfortable for you because it's not who you are, yeah, maybe it would increase your viewership, but it's going to be really hard to do that consistently. It's just hard to persist in something that's not natural for you, you know? So for me, like, what do? I stream, I'm animating most of the stream or doing code or whatever. Every now and again, I go on a little rant or a little whatever, digression. I like interacting with you guys. Like, that's also natural for me, and I don't have to pretend that I'm somebody else to do it. I do the voices, whatever. Like, it's cool. But if you were to say to me, hey, if you did more like game show segments and if you did more like wacky streams or like collab streams or like there's a bunch of stuff that I would have to have an interest in it for the incentive to be worth it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, I think the biggest barrier for me, because a lot of that stuff still, a lot of that stuff is still in my interest. Like, I'd love to do collab streams, and you know, I was doing interviews for a little bit with other devs. Like, it's not like I don't like that stuff, but when you're in a routine, which is so important for streaming, the thought of, oh, things might be better if you do this thing, the pursuit of the new thing, you have to do it blind. So you have to expend the energy and then keep expending the energy for like 2 months before you see any kind of trend. So it's like I was doing shorts. I still am doing some shorts, but I was doing them like every day for like 2 weeks in January. Like it was like every other day, twice a day I'd have shorts up. And like I wasn't able to keep that pace enough to tell whether or not it was doing anything, you know, because I didn't see a major uptick in any of the numbers. So eventually the incentive to keep doing it at that rate goes down. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy with this kind of stuff, like doing new things. You have to be prepared to be consistent with something. And the easiest way to do that is to already enjoy doing it, you know? Yeah, I actually am, you know, I'm happy with the brand that I have for the stream and the way that people engage with the stream. And I'm actually, in a way, like all of this stuff about growth for me when it comes to the stream, all of that only relates to money. Like, it's actually not an ambition of mine to have the biggest stream on Twitch. You know, that's not exciting to me necessarily. And yeah, of course, I want my game to do well and I want people to know about it, and marketing's important, blah, blah, blah. That's all true. But like, there is something from like a selfish perspective, just thinking about like what I like when I'm streaming. I like that this environment is one where I can mostly engage with each of you individually. You know, I can mostly look over a chat here and I can read what you're saying. And if someone says something that is, you know, that I'm going to respond to, that I would want to respond to, I can catch it. I can respond to it, you know? If I had 2,000 people in here, we wouldn't have this dynamic. Or I just have to ignore you guys for the most part. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So, you know, it's not all up. And it's really hard to I'm very grateful that I've had this opportunity to experience social media this way, experience content creation, because I've always wanted to do it. Always wanted to be a content creator since like the early YouTube days, and I never could do it because of like bandwidth issues, like just being an Australian and having like Australian internet. But I always wanted to do this kind of stuff. And I still, like, I don't regret it at all. I love doing it. But there are very, very specific experiences that I've had as a streamer that I think psychologically have been a little, like, damaging for me. Just my, how would I put this? The kind of thought patterns that being a streamer or being on the internet for your job creates, the incentives and the kinds of like values that it puts in you are not healthy. It's not healthy being on the internet like this, you know? And you kind of need to develop like quite thick skin, and you kind of need to really know who you are and what you're about before you get into this stuff, because it's so easy to look at what you're doing and say, I'm doing something wrong if I'm not growing at a certain rate, and who do I need to be in order to grow bigger? Once you're in that mindset, you start sacrificing things about yourself in order to make the algorithm happier. And no one can tell you who you ought to be, but the algorithm can tell you what version of you will get more attention. So there is a real danger that you become somebody who's just there only for the sake of pleasing an algorithm, you know? It's very easy to do that. And if not doing that, almost as bad is the thought that you should do that, you know? Like I've never really changed that much. You know, I've made the content that I wanted to make. I haven't really sold out or like been weird or changed much about what I do. But what's really been painful is the feeling that I'm not good enough because the person who I am naturally isn't organically creating the growth that other YouTubers get. Like my authentic self isn't as watchable as so-and-so. You know, that thought is like, on its own, that's just a fact. Like, it's fine if that's the case. But like in the context of a job, like your well-being or your income, like your life vocation, that's really dangerous, because it's okay if it's not your job. It's okay to not be as entertaining as somebody else. Like if you're not an entertainer, who cares? But if your job is to be watched to some extent, if that's where the money comes from, it's very hard to be okay with not being as watchable as somebody else, because you're like, well, what are they doing right? And they're being rewarded for being who they are, but I'm not being rewarded for who I am. So maybe I'm not good enough or worthy enough or whatever. Those kinds of thoughts, you know, these days I'm pretty familiar with that kind of stuff, and I don't feel as... I mean, my wife would say otherwise, but, you know, I understand these things at least intellectually enough to not be too, you know, thrown by it all. But there was definitely a time where I wasn't super comfortable with who I am, you know? Or I was kind of experimenting or thinking about whether I should be somebody else, you know? In a very minor ways, but it happens with the game as well, you know? Like, insecurities around, like, whether what you're doing is good enough or whether you'll be noticed or cared about. It's dangerous, you know? It's heavy stuff. And it's not something that you would ordinarily need to experience if you just had a regular job. So I'm gonna do the biggest full circle here to come back to what somebody asked in chat earlier about when you should start streaming. I don't think you should necessarily start streaming at all. You know, I don't think you should necessarily do it. If you're not the kind of person who genuinely wants to be streaming, to share who you are and what you like and that kind of stuff. If that's not you, like, you might enjoy it more just you like being yourself and like making your game on your own terms. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Think about like Concerned Ape, who makes Stardew Valley. Like, they don't have a stream, I don't think. They get to be themselves and make their game and then still share what they love with people. They still get to do all the things that I'm doing, but they don't have the pressure of like being funny, you know? Or whatever. I think it's really valuable to have the freedom to express yourself the way you want to express yourself. I feel like that's like it's not a luxury, but it's, you know, it's certainly a nice thing to be able to have the confidence to just be you. And I certainly found that streaming has tested that in me. It's tested my ability to stay who I am, and not just stay who I am, but be happy about who I am. You know, that's hard. It's not really what I bargained for. To sort of experience that, you know? And like I'll always say, like, props to the guys who can do it. You know, if you're the kind of dude who is or dudette, if you're the kind of person, if you're the kind of folks who can just be on all the time, you know, like, and the part of like the natural self who you are online is just like super watchable and whatever, like, you have my respect for sure. Curious about what got me streaming? Oh, make no mistake, like, I love being here. Like I said, it's not like I'm here regretting ever streaming or anything like that. Like, I love doing it. It's more just that I guess what I wanted out of it was... that's a good question. What did I like out of streaming? What was the vision before I started? What did I expect? Because I actually didn't even watch streams. I mean, like, I guess XQC at the time, like 2017, 2018. I think it was more just like, what I really like about it, and I'm not sure if I knew it would be like this. I think, oh gosh. I don't know. I don't know if the things that I like about it today are the things that I thought I would like about it at the time. Um, I think I did romanticize for sure the like chat, the idea of like, oh look, everyone's getting excited about what you're doing, you know. So to give like the fairest or like the most like neat answer that I can give is what I wanted was positive feedback about around what I was doing. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to be able to like know that when I'm doing something, people watching could say, "Hey, good job, Adam," or "Oh, that looks a bit weird," or whatever. Like having a relationship with people who have an interest in the status of my work. That was basically it. Like, and beyond that, having that be a comfortable place, a less lonely place, you know? Like I get to be here, I get to share what I'm doing, you get to watch what I'm doing, you give me your opinions, I give you my opinions, we build something, we learn something together, and hey, I'll be here tomorrow and you'll be here tomorrow, and you know, it helps everything stay, you know, it creates a culture. It's culture, you know, it's like something nice that we build together. I think that's what I wanted. Because if without that, I'm just sitting here by myself in my room. Like, I'm a child of the internet. Honestly, I don't feel lonely when I stream. I feel like you guys are here and we're talking and I'm in an office, you know, and there's at least 15 other people just on the other side of my computer monitor. That's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm with like 10, 15 people. You know, that's how many are basically chatting right now. So the alternative of just me like listening to Skyrim atmospheres.mp3 on loop for like 7 years, that's not that's not like an appealing thought to me. But this is totally, you know, I could do this indefinitely. If I didn't have streaming, there's no way I would have worked on this game this long. I would have given up ages ago. So I suppose that's a positive for those of you looking for the positives. Like it's genuine for me, at least. It feels like real company. It feels like I'm with people. And I'm the kind of guy who plays MMOs by himself. You know, like I don't party up, I don't join clans, I just run around in the MMO by myself. I like to be in a crowd by myself sometimes, or at least I find myself doing that. Whether or not that's what I would want to do, that's just the kind of person that I am. I like being together alone. Yeah. So this kind of really feeds into that. Because I love people. I actually love people. I know a lot of people say like, oh, I hate people. I don't hate people. People are great. I just like keep them a bit away from me. Yeah. I don't know when this happened. I guess because I grew up in a family of 5 kids. So I'm one of 5. And what that means is that like I was always surrounded by people. But I was always alone. If that makes sense? That's kind of how I grew up. Like, I'm with my family, we're all doing stuff, but like no one's looking at me. I'm kind of like, I'm like in the corner kind of thing, looking out at everything else that's happening. Like I'm not the center of attention, I'm just, you know, I'm just here. And I know that that's weird that like in this context, I am in the center of attention, but I can't see you looking at me, so it's not as weird for me. I don't know. Maybe if I could see you looking at me, I wouldn't like it as much. But I think that, like, I don't know. There's other things to it. Like, there's the fact that, you know, there's the work is the center of the show, not just me. I'm not really here to be a celebrity. Sort of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is a strange conversation. I don't really understand that part of myself. Like whether or not I'm an extrovert or an introvert. Because I spend so much time alone. Voluntarily. How could I be an extrovert? But I love spending time with people. Every time I go to those meetup events, like last night's meetup event, if you give me the chance, I'll stay there all night. Like I'll chat until like 3 a.m. You know? If I'm with people that I respect and like and am interested in talking to and stuff, like hell yeah, I could go on forever. But I don't do that often. I don't spend a lot of time around people. I know people who hate being alone. I love being alone too. You know, I don't mind it at all. It's just two different things. Maybe that's just being normal. Maybe that's what I am. I just, hey Adam, what you are is normal. Sometimes, hey guys, I don't know if any of you have experienced this before, but you know, like, this is gonna sound so weird, but sometimes I like being alone and sometimes I like being with people. How weird is that? What? Crazy, right? What? Who is this guy? I don't know. I'm not like other guys, you know? I'm just weird like that. Hashtag neurodivergent. Yeah. I think also like there is this aspect about growing up, or maybe it's also just I'm fine. There's so many ways to think about this. Like I'm the kind of person, and I was talking about this last week, I think. In like the 90s, if you watch a sitcom like Friends, right? It's like, oh, 30-year-olds have friends, right? You have like a bunch of friends and you all hang out and you do stuff all the time. And I guess there wasn't much else to do in like the 90s, you know? Like you socialize with people. And I've always been someone who's been lucky to have, you know, friend groups around me, but I don't do the work in making those friend groups happen. Like I'm sort of like, if I find myself in a social sphere or a lack of a social sphere, but I've got like one friend, I'm fine. Like if it's just like one guy is like, oh, that's my friend. We hang out once a week or twice a week, once a week or once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. You know, if I don't see him for a month, it's fine. That's my friend. One, I feel like that's kind of growing up. I feel like most people is like that. They just end up with just like one friend because they've got like a family or whatever. They just like move on with their life and the social stuff sort of melts away once they hit their 30s. But two, I think that society is becoming more like that. I feel like the internet is making people like that more. You know what I mean? Like there are fewer reasons to meet people and people just don't talk to people anymore. And when I was like growing up as like a kid or whatever, I would have been weird for being this way. But now it feels like I'm normal. But when did what I do become normal? Because it wasn't normal. Like I know that it wasn't. And I hear this about like the dating apps. Like when dating apps started, I was like, holy shit, I'm terrible at this and I don't want to do it. And I just had not a good experience with them. And now everybody hates them and nobody likes them. And everybody has the same problem that I had of like, how do you meet people? What do you like? I would have, in this generation, the way things are right now, how do you meet? I don't know. I wouldn't know. I would never have met anybody, you know? Because I wasn't going out partying every night. Like, and people drink less now and they smoke less. Like when I was like 16, people still smoked, you know? I had friends who smoked. But like now, nobody smokes. So it's like, well, what happened? Like when did I become more normal without, even though I haven't changed at all. I've been the same guy. It just feels like everybody around me's becoming more similar. Maybe the things that affected me are affecting more people. Like, I wonder if general anxiety is higher these days. Because I think it's hard now. Stuff is hard. Like, you know, the economy and the internet and AI and working from home and COVID and all that stuff. It's just like made people less confident and less sure about their future. I actually met my wife on a dating app though, so oh, calm down. I'm sure there are people with a fridge full of dating app success stories. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. There are people like my sister-in-law. She's 21 now. I think she just this year. I think she's turning. Oh God, is she turning 21 this year? She might be. She's like a total socialite. She's got lots of friends, and they go out all the time, and you know, that's like what I remember it was like for people around me when I was in my 20s. But I feel like that's less common now. I don't know. And it's not because I see it more. I mean, it could just be that I'm here on Twitch all the time talking to a bunch of people who are on their computers at home. maybe I've just made it so that the people around me are more like me. I don't deal with normal people anymore. But no, I really do think that people are becoming more like, people are becoming less social, I think. I don't know, it feels that way. It's just a different thing. Some of it also, like, I don't know how much of this is like local to my life. Do your sisters hate being alone? Oh yeah, you mean my sister-in-law? She's okay. She's pretty normal. Bubblegum Witch, thank you so much for the sub. I'm noticing, like, where I live in Sydney, Australia, and in Sydney, a lot has changed in the last 15 years. Like, a lot has changed. Culturally, I feel Sydney changing, because when I grew up, Sydney was like the Western Australian, like the European values that the colonizers brought over, you know, the kind of culture around drinking and the kinds of manners that you know, English people have, like, or maybe just what had been developed here in Australia in the 200 years since colonization. So like, I have this thing where, like, if you see someone on the street and you walk past them, you say, "G'day," or "How you doing? How are ya?" You just say that. You greet every single person you see on the street, especially if you're like alone. Like, if you're alone and they're alone and you walk past each other, you're going for a walk, they're going for a walk. If you cross paths with someone, you say hi. That doesn't happen nearly as much now compared to what it used to. Like, Old men will say hi. Younger people don't say hi. You know? Yeah, I'm from Western Sydney too. But yeah, like 15, 20 years ago, of course you say hello, you know? But now it's like not as much. Or even like the other one is drivers. When you drive past, like there are some streets around where I live where like it's a bit cramped. So like sometimes you got to pull over a little to let someone else come through. It's not like a 2-lane road. It's like a little side street or whatever. Every single time without fail, what you should do if you're in that interaction and someone lets you through or you let someone through is your hands on the wheel. You do that. You just give them a little, you're right. You do that every single time. I do it. Older people will definitely do it. Some people, younger people, they don't do it anymore. No one has manners, you know? Little things like that. I just feel the differences, you know, in the way the culture is. It's just less social. Everyone kind of like looks out for themselves a little bit more, which I understand. Like the economy is a bit like that, you know? You kind of you have to like look out for yourself a bit. And who cares what anyone else is doing, you know, just keep your head down and you know, think about what you need. But like, what happened? I don't know. I know I sound like that guy. I know I'm that guy right now. But it's really weird. It's like, I don't know. It's just different. Your pals. My wife is home. She's just about to walk through the door. I just got notified. There she is. And I'm gonna leave. But first, I'm gonna go for a bit and I'll come back and then I'll go. But I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So as I was saying, I just I don't know. Hang on one sec. Yeah. So I think like you know, people are still people. I'm not saying the world has ended, but I do think that like there has been a real change in just I don't know, people being a bit less comfortable and less friendly and less generous, or I don't know what the word is, but it's a little weird. It's a little disturbing. Just like manners, just like people not being polite and stuff. You know, I don't understand why where that went. Part of it in Sydney is like a cultural thing. Am I coding? Hi, not right now. Am I good with particle effects? I'm not bad. Less grateful. I think it's like there's my pet theory is that there's like an aspect of like a perception of scarcity at the moment. Everyone feels like they need to work harder in order to provide for themselves and their families. So everyone's in this like mindset of like they need to, you know, it's like Black Friday sales, or like during COVID, how like, you know, oh, are we gonna run out of toilet paper? Quick, grab all the toilet paper that I can. I feel like that kind of like mental state, a lot of people like kind of still live in that space. In like a minor way, not in like a huge like, oh my god, the world is ending way, but just in like a, I don't care about anybody else, I just need to look out for me and my own kind of thing. That's the kind of vibe that I get. And I see it as well in just like, even like politically, you know, like the kind of conservative kick that, you know, things are on at the moment. I feel like there's a bit of a divide there wasn't before. People are less in agreement about what, you know, their countries need. I've seen this online more, but people really resent the past cultures of embarrassing kids for not reading elders, and I think that people want to break free from social norms that make some people, especially neurodivergent people, uncomfortable. I wouldn't. I mean, that may be happening, but I don't think that's what I'm observing. Not to say that it's not happening. Why is this so brown? I don't remember it being so brown. Yeah. In our politics, the Liberal Party is actually the Conservative Party, and then Labour is the Left Party. Yeah, it is confusing. It's because there was a Liberal Party in the UK before there was Australian politics. And the Australian Liberal Party, I think, was named in inspiration of that. I don't know. Looks like his neck is in the shadow of his chin. It is. His head is obscuring his neck from the sun. Sun's up here. Head's here. Neck's down there. Sometimes I see videos of studs calling their teachers by name and they go crazy. Studs? Seen a lot of talk online where so many people are talking about how parents embarrassing you for not understanding social cues has caused a lot of trauma, and some people, especially current parents, want to move away from that to prevent harm for future generations. Yeah, that does seem kind of. I mean, maybe I don't know which country you're from, but that seems like a pretty niche thing. At least I've never encountered anything like that. And my knee-jerk reaction is to actually I would think that there's an argument against that, right? Like if you don't socialize your children, you're actually harming them more, right? Because they're going to be in an environment in the world where they have to engage with people. They have to know how to interact in society. And if you don't teach them, how are they going to know? Especially if they're neurodivergent, right? I feel like if they're protected from that, they're only going to be worse off later. No? Or maybe I'm thinking, maybe what we're talking about are different things. Yeah, I'm not sure about, I mean, sure. Look, Americans have this different, you guys have a different thing with the way that young people react or interact with old people. In Australia, we don't really have that. Like the thing that I really don't understand is the yes sir, yes ma'am thing. We don't have that. We don't, in Australia, children do not speak formally to their elders. There's no like literal, like maybe to your teacher, but like not to like your parents. Like hearing a son call his father sir and his mother ma'am is like, that's kind of, what? You know, it feels almost like, it feels very military, you know? But is that what we're talking about? Oh, immigrant parents. Oh, well, that's a different thing altogether. Like, I've got immigrant parents, but, well, no, I don't. I got immigrant grandparents, but, I think I know what you might mean. Like, well, I mean, there's a different set of values there that you could be describing that might be, you know, different from the local culture. I don't know. Now we're talking about different cultures, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It might be that might be like a Gen X. Like, I don't know how old you are, Liz Glow Art, but for me, the conversation where in the spheres that I'm around, it's like the conversation around parents and children and parenting styles is really a conversation between boomers and millennials. It's not really about the greatest generation and like Gen X or like Gen X and Gen Z. Do you know what I mean? Like the only generation that we talk about as being like broken when it comes to parenting is boomers, and specifically it's everybody else saying, oh my god, the boomers had no idea, you know, like, but their generation was taught like children should be seen and not heard kind of thing, you know, and then they had like a really easy time growing up. They had a lot of like freedom and a lot of what's the word? They were kind of given discipline by parents who grew up in a very hard time, but by contrast, the upbringing they had was a lot easier than the generations before or after them. So they have a weird wonky kind of like I don't know what the word is, set of expectations about other people and how to bring up their own. But that's the only thing when it comes to like generational arguments about parenting styles. Okay, so we are talking about millennials versus boomers. Then we're in the same conversation. Yeah, maybe it was an American thing though. Then this thing about like respect, because my parents. I mean, there was always a respect your elders thing, but yeah, parenting styles around like socializing children and specifically humiliating children for not knowing things. I don't know if I would have thought there was a pattern, at least in my culture. Oops, where'd the smears go? Cool. I think it's more like, for me, the thing that I think about with boomers is them being out of touch with how hard one has to work to have what they had. Like, when I hear stories about like my father and my uncle and like the kinds of lives they had in their 20s and 30s as they were starting businesses, and the how risk-free their environments were, that for me is like crazy when I think about it. Like, oh, I started a job completely unqualified as a handyman, and then I bought a house and raised 3 kids, and I would go play golf every Wednesday and go for a beer with my mates every Friday afternoon. It's like, what? How did you afford that? And you had a car and everything? Like, yes, we paid off the house in 5 years. Like, Jesus. I'm a millennial. You know, like the stories like that, where it's just like, I had a restaurant and the restaurant went under, and I then changed careers and I was fine. Like, huh? You had like 3 failed businesses and you're okay? Yeah, just the economics, they're just super out of touch. And even now, like, gosh, boomers have so much money. Like, it's crazy. Like, they just have so much disposable income, on average. Not on average, but well, the people who are parents of, you know, my parents, whatever. And also unqualified. Neither of my parents went to university. You know, I have an honors degree. I have 6 years of education on top of my parents. And what do I have for it? I have debt. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't have gone to university if my parents hadn't, because the narrative was you should go to university. It probably still is in a lot of places around the world, but it really shouldn't be. It's becoming less. I don't know. Yo, guys, I gotta go. Pals, this was really fun. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll finish these animations. Let's raid someone and get out of here. For those of you on YouTube, come join us on Twitch as we raid the next streamer. We're gonna raid anybody that I recognize in the bottom section. No. But it might be nice to raid someone whom we haven't met yet. A lot of these streams, man, I really want to see a webcam. That's kind of like, Alright, Drathy. Let's go, Drathy. You're on. Thanks, everyone. If you like my content, definitely consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/AdamCYunus. If you're not on my YouTube channel, go check out my stuff on YouTube. I post there really regularly. I'll be back tomorrow. More animations coming up. More demo content. See you all very soon. As always, I've been Adam. You've been the Pixel Pals. This has been the Indie Tales Game Dev live stream. Until next time.